Was this more about the Suns or the Celtics tonight, John?
Celtics.
Both.
Celtics.
Yeah.
But, okay. The Suns, their record though, I mean, they really had to fight for some of those wins. I mean, if you look at both teams, I mean, you kind of had a sense that Celtics are going to win this one way or another. I didn't think it would look like this, but I really like the Celtics' chances in this one, even though they weren't even the favorites going into it.
I was torn. You lose Horford against an Ayton. Brogdon came back, so that was a boost, but this was one of the better teams in the league coming into tonight in terms of differential, in terms of defense and offense at the same time.
Yeah, that's true. But I also think that this is the Celtics showing just how far ahead they are, the Suns. And maybe it's not. Maybe this
is crazy. I mean, that's about as good of a competition as you're going to see this year.
Look, here's why it's about
conference though. Right now, the Western Conference it's shaky. Let's face it, it is. And I don't mean that. True. I'm not trying to discredit the Celtics, but this again, it shows how ahead they are of the Suns right now.
And that's why I think it's about the Celtics. Is this was like I love these games where the opposing team has to like literally reconsider its entire existence after they play you, you know? Like, who are
this
we?
Is like game
like,
7.
Right. Like you go home and you look in the mirror and be like, I'm ugly. You know, like nobody likes me. I'll never get a date. Like you just
and 12 hours ago, you felt completely different.
You felt so, yeah, even though they lost to the Mavericks recently, but they're like, we're number one in the West. And you're right. Like Bobby said, the Horford game, I thought this one would be annoying because, again, you do have the Ayton advantage. Ayton was dog shit tonight.
Awful.
I mean,
Booker was awful. Chris was bad in his return. It was a disaster for the Suns. That's
Paul
the
looked bad.
reason.
Paul looked out of shape, but fine. It's a disaster. Booker couldn't hit his shots. Paul looked off. Ayton, every single time he brought the ball below his knees, he got stripped. It was just dreadful all around. And they just don't have enough horses. Look, they were saying it late in the game, like, Phoenix might be a regular season team. They play good basketball. They're well coached. They've got some good players, but like, do they have the horses?
Their bench is shaky. That's where this game turned.
They've got good players, but it's like, are they great players? Like Chris Paul elevates them for sure. Ayton, you understand why? They've had a difficult time deciding what to do with him because and I tweeted this. If you've got a guy like Ayton, okay, a true big, and the Celtics are without any bigs, Horford or Williams, and Williams is on the trip, by the way, here, which again we're waiting to see. Are any of these games one of the games where he might play? You don't know. Bobby, you've been targeting Saturday with Golden State. I'm down with that, but we'll get to Rob in a little
Jimmy,
bit.
actually.
Okay.
But I'll roll with it.
But I'm saying LA, if anything.
But before we get to Rob, like this should be a game where you've got some advantages. You're getting Paul back and you've got a massive advantage in the middle and you're home. And you just get absolutely, obliterated, just run off the court it was never competitive. This was never competitive. It's just dominant. It's like Josue said earlier. Even though Josue said, "I'm putting it on the Suns," it's a reality check just to show where the Celtics are and where everyone else is. Right. Van Gundy was like tripping on himself earlier in the broadcast saying, "There's only 4 teams who could win it, and the Suns are one of them." And Jackson was trying to talk him into more teams. Honestly, I might even say there's fewer teams that might win it after watching a game like this. You think anybody out of the West is beating the Celtics or Milwaukee? There might be two teams who can win this thing, assuming everybody's healthy and no major trades, and they're both playing in the East right now. Right. So they are levels above. We talked about them possibly being the Warriors. They are in that range of they are a couple of levels above most teams in the league. Right now, and the Suns are also Rans comparatively to what the Celtics are doing or the way the Celtics are playing right now.
Yeah, I just think the records are a bit misleading. I mean, look, going into this matchup, you're thinking, well, this could be a nail biter. But I just, again, where the Celtics are right now in their progress and where the Suns are, I mean, they're shaky right now. I mean, they had to dust off Chris Paul to just sort of spice this one up because I think that they knew that they needed that sort of counter against the Celtics offense, And you look at the way the team is built, they rely a lot on their bench guys, their depth. The Celtics, just from that first quarter alone, like you said, John, it was like their souls were gone, man. Like, like those guys, right? The other guys, sure, Booker wasn't checked out quite yet, but this team heavily relies on those other guys, and the Celtics just completely knocked them off. And look, even Ayton in certain plays, they were trying to get him going, but he can't play like this. He can't play in this style. Not right now. Not with the way the Celtics are rolling. Trying to keep up.
Dude, every time he turned his back, someone stripped him, and then he'd be like, and his body language, he just wouldn't go back down the court. I mean, he was in his, he was in his head the whole time.
Mentally, he was checked out. He was like, man, this team is ridiculous. And that's what the Celtics do. They continue to do that, against most of their opponents. And even if all records aside, one of the top teams in the Western Conference, it didn't matter tonight.
Yeah, they're pushing toward that Warriors differential level. 15 Warriors were plus 9.5. The Celtics, I don't know if this includes tonight's yet, but are at plus 8.5 per 100. So they're not quite at like that all-time level, but the offense is. And the defense is coming around, which is another story tonight. They look dominant on that end. They've really built a couple games in a row here where they look reminiscent of their former selves. You talk about forcing the turnovers, John, and some of the disruptiveness and switching that they've been able to throw at these string of teams that they've played now who've gotten a little bit better here. I'm loving what I'm seeing there. And to be able to do it with Blake in the starting lineup is impressive, as they've done a couple games in a row now here. You got Brown more engaged on that end. You have Tatum doing his thing as he has been all year. Grant, I thought, had his best game in a while in this one as well. And Smart, getting in passing lanes and all that stuff. The defense
White was incredible in that second quarter. He had a stretch of stop, steal, go the other way.
How
pass,
good is he,
blah,
man?
blah, blah. He went just that second quarter stretch. End of the day, the numbers are pretty pedestrian on the day. He just, when it was closing time there, he just had one play after another, and that just put the whole game away there in the second.
And I had my eye on him coming into this one because I love this. I know it's not a catch-all stat or anything like that, but I do get intrigued by these analytics that like stack up the best players in the league. And that 538 one wrap there, he was 27th in the league coming into today. And that's
Andrew Bailey, that guy who does a lot of tweets with a lot of stats. He does the top 10 kind of catch-all stats, box plus minus Raptor, all of those things, and kind of and aggregates them and rates players. And White was number 2 again. He's definitely an analytics darling.
Two in the league,
number 2 behind Tatum on the Celtics. He was like 40. He was like 40th in the league, but like one notch ahead of Jalen and all of those. So again, they are what they are. We're not going to sit here and pretend that Derek White's in the same league as a player like Brown, but it's
emblematic of how he's played, though.
He just does everything that you need to do.
Well, I think it's a testament to what he's doing to opposing second units. Like, I mean, he matches. You can match him in with the starters as well, but he's also just like that guy who can sort of calm things down on the defensive end of the floor while also giving you buckets, whether it's him knocking down shots or finding the right guys, open guys.
Yeah, and you've kind of chalked it up to the shooting increase, John, which is true. I mean, you come out and shoot 45% from 3, it changes everything. But his ability to mesh between the on-ball role, which he's been incredible in when Smart's been out and Brogdon and those situations, and tonight, where he's, catching that long pass in the corner from Smart. I know that's only 3 hit in this one, but being active off the ball and still garnering 6 assists, he can do a little bit of everything, plus the defense, which I've always loved. I still go back to the finals where he was really giving Curry issues those first 3 games or so there. I love his game because it's so adaptable. You can use it in so many different ways.
It's not all shooting that I think is the improvement this year. I just think because it was so atrociously bad last year, it affected his confidence in terms of doing anything. So he became a lot more passive offensively when the team needed a little bit more of a little bit more attacking, a little bit more aggression. And so he became so in his own head over his own shooting difficulties, that he became difficult to play at times because he was such a liability offensively. That's my issue. It's not that every improvement is just because of the 3-point percentage. It's now he can play that complete game, give the game what it needs, and you can see all of that other stuff that he does so well because you're not focused on the fact that he's gone 1 for 9 shooting in a game and has decided to put it in his pocket because he's afraid to pull the trigger again.